if your knees ache when you stand up, if your fingers feel stiff every single morning, if you've accepted that this is just what getting older feels like, I need you to hear what I'm about to tell you. Somewhere in your kitchen right now, there's a vegetable sitting in your refrigerator that contains a molecule capable of crossing from plant cells into your human cells and switching off the inflammatory signals that are actively destroying your joints. Not masking the pain, not numbing the sensation. Actually interrupting the biochemical cascade that causes the swelling, the stiffness, and the grinding discomfort in the first place. And here's what kills me. This has been used for joint pain since before your great-great-grandmother was born. Doctors dismissed it for generations as old wives' tales. Until very recently, when researchers in multiple countries ran actual clinical trials and discovered something that changes everything we thought we knew about natural joint support. I'm talking about cabbage. Specifically, cabbage leaves are wrapped around an inflamed joint. And before you click away thinking this sounds ridiculous, stay with me. Because what happens at the cellular level is genuinely fascinating. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why your grandmother wasn't crazy. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine waking up tomorrow and that deep grinding ache in your knee feels different, not gone. I'm not promising miracles here, but noticeably less aggressive, less sharp, like someone turned down the volume on your pain by a few notches. Now imagine that feeling getting progressively better over the next week. Your morning stiffness lasting minutes instead of an hour. Your ability to climb stairs without that internal negotiation of whether it's worth the discomfort. This isn't fantasy. This is what researchers documented when they actually studied this properly. In a clinical trial published in a major pain research journal, 81 people with diagnosed osteoarthritis were split into groups. One group wrapped cabbage leaves around their knees daily. Another group used a standard anti-inflammatory gel containing diclofenac, and a third group just continued their normal routine. Here's what happened. After 4 weeks, the cabbage leaf group showed statistically significant improvements. We're talking real, measurable reductions in pain intensity, better scores on functional disability assessments, improved quality of life metrics. And here's something the researchers specifically noted. The patients in the cabbage group reported higher satisfaction with their treatment. They actually enjoyed using it. But here's the part that surprised everyone, including the researchers. The cabbage leaves performed comparably to the pharmaceutical gel in several measures, a vegetable, competing with a drug. And this wasn't just one study. A separate clinical trial in Thailand took 60 patients with moderate to severe osteoarthritis and tested cabbage leaf application against both a cooling gel pad and the same diclofenac gel. The cabbage group showed significant improvement in both their pain scores and their knee function scores. The researchers concluded that cabbage was just as effective as the cooling treatment and showed better therapeutic effectiveness than the pharmaceutical gel in certain measures. Now, let me be honest with you about something, because I refuse to be like those channels that promise you'll be doing backflips by Tuesday. The title says 7 days. And here's the truth about that timeline. The anti-inflammatory process begins almost immediately when you start. Your body responds within the first few applications. But the significant measurable improvements that showed up in the clinical data, those were documented at the 4-week mark. So why mention 7 days at all? Because that's when most people report first noticing a difference. That's when the trajectory starts becoming obvious. 7 days is the spark. 4 weeks is the fire. If you commit to this for a week and feel nothing, something's probably wrong with your method. If you commit for a month, the research suggests you're likely to see real results. All right, let's get into the actual science, because this is where it gets genuinely wild. For years, nobody could explain why wrapping a leaf around your knee would do anything at all. It seemed too simple, too primitive. Modern medicine likes things that come in bottles with complicated names. Then, in 2022, researchers published findings in Frontiers in Pharmacology that basically cracked the code. They discovered that cabbage leaves contain something called miRNA 172A. Now, microRNAs are tiny molecules that regulate gene expression. They're like little instruction manuals that tell your cells what to do. Here's the crazy part. This plant-based microRNA can actually enter your human cells. It crosses the barrier between species. Scientists call these xenomeres, foreign microRNAs that somehow communicate with your biology. This concept alone is revolutionary. The idea that a plant molecule can slip into your cells and start giving instructions. And what does miRNA 172A do once it's inside your cells? It targets a protein called FAN. FAN is part of the TNF-alpha signaling pathway. And if that sounds like gibberish, let me translate. TNF-alpha is one of the primary troublemakers in inflammatory joint disease. It's a cytokine, basically a chemical messenger that tells your immune system to attack. In conditions like arthritis, TNF-alpha goes haywire. It keeps the inflammation dial cranked up permanently. Your joints stay swollen, your cartilage keeps degrading. Your pain never fully resolves. The cabbage leaf molecule essentially turns down that dial. It reduces FAN protein levels, which weakens the TNF-alpha signal, which calms the entire inflammatory response. This isn't speculation. Researchers tested this in lab conditions and saw the protein levels drop. They tested it in animal models of arthritis and saw the joint swelling decrease. The mice that received the treatment showed reversal of their arthritic symptoms. Their body weight normalized. The inflammation in their paws visibly reduced. But there's more going on than just this one pathway. Cabbage belongs to the cruciferous vegetable family. And cruciferous vegetables are loaded with compounds called glucosinolates. When you crush or bruise a cabbage leaf, these glucosinolates break down into active substances, including something called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is one of the most studied natural anti-inflammatory compounds on the planet. It works by inhibiting something called NF-κB, which is basically the master switch for inflammation in your body. When NF-κB is active, it turns on genes that produce inflammatory chemicals. Sulforaphane helps keep that switch in the off position. Research has shown that consuming cruciferous vegetables regularly can reduce inflammatory markers like IL-6, C-reactive protein, and yes, TNF-alpha throughout your entire body. So when you wrap a cabbage leaf around your joint, you're delivering these compounds directly to the site of inflammation. Now let me walk you through what actually happens when you start using this properly. Day by day, days 1 through 3, your body is receiving new input. The compounds in the cabbage leaf are making contact with your skin. They're beginning to absorb. The cooling sensation of the leaf itself provides some immediate comfort, but the real biochemical changes are just getting started. Some people notice nothing dramatic in this phase. Others report that the affected area feels slightly less angry. The redness might diminish a little. The heat in the joint might feel less intense. Don't expect transformation, expect foundation. Days 4 through 7. This is where the momentum builds. Your body has now had consistent exposure. The anti-inflammatory compounds have had time to accumulate and interact with your tissue. The TNF-alpha pathway is starting to receive consistent interference. Many people report that this is when they first notice something tangible. Maybe it's easier to get out of bed. Maybe the stiffness resolves faster. Maybe you realize you haven't thought about your knee pain as much today. Maybe you bent down to pick something up and only realized afterward that you didn't brace yourself first. This is also, candidly, where most people quit. They expected dramatic overnight results. They got subtle improvement, and they decided it wasn't working. The ones who push through to week 2 and beyond, those are the people who end up genuinely impressed. Week 2 through 4 is where the clinical benefits really become measurable. This is when the studies showed significant differences in pain scales and functional assessments. Your body has had enough consistent exposure to actually adapt. The inflammatory pathways have been consistently suppressed. The healing environment has been maintained long enough for your tissues to respond. Okay, let's talk about exactly how to do this. Because the method matters more than you'd think. You want green cabbage. The regular kind you find in any grocery store. Not red cabbage, not Savoy, not Napa. Plain green cabbage seems to have the highest concentration of the beneficial compounds based on the research. It's also the cheapest, which is a nice bonus. Take a leaf off the head and cut out the thick central rib, that hard white part in the middle. You want just the flexible, leafy portion that can conform to the shape of your joint. Then take a rolling pin, a wine bottle, a can of soup, whatever you have, and gently roll over the leaf until you see a little moisture coming through. You're basically bruising it to release the active compounds. This step is crucial. If you skip it, you're just putting a dry leaf on your skin and wondering why nothing happens. The compounds need to be released. Wrap the prepared leaf around the affected joint. Your knee, your wrist, your ankle, your elbow, wherever the inflammation is. Then secure it with a bandage, an elastic wrap, or even just an old sock with the toe cut off if that's what you have. Not too tight. You want contact, not constriction. Leave it on for a minimum of 2 hours. Many people do this before bed and leave it on overnight. That's 6 to 8 hours of continuous exposure while you sleep. The clinical trials had participants applying once daily for at least 2 hours, but longer exposure likely means more benefit. Fresh leaf each time. Don't try to reuse yesterday's cabbage. The compounds degrade once the leaf is bruised and exposed to air. A head of cabbage costs almost nothing and will last you weeks. I know some of you are thinking this sounds messy, inconvenient, maybe even embarrassing. You're imagining explaining to your spouse why you're going to bed wrapped in salad ingredients. Here's my response to that. The pharmaceutical alternatives come with real risks. Long-term use of oral anti-inflammatories can damage your stomach lining, stress your kidneys, affect your cardiovascular system. The clinical data on those side effects is extensive and concerning, especially for people over 60. A cabbage leaf has no documented adverse effects in any of the studies. None. The worst-case scenario is that it doesn't work well for you and you've wasted some produce. That's a risk profile most people can live with. Let me give you a few additional tips that can enhance your results. Temperature matters. Some people prefer the leaf slightly chilled from the refrigerator. The cold adds an additional anti-inflammatory effect and feels soothing on hot, swollen joints. Others prefer room temperature because the cold can feel uncomfortable at first. Experiment and see what your body responds to best. Consistency beats intensity. Doing this every single day for a month will dramatically outperform doing it aggressively for 3 days and then forgetting about it. Build it into your routine. Make it automatic. Same time every day. Consider pairing this with internal support. The same family of vegetables, the cruciferous family, contains compounds that work systemically when you eat them. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, cauliflower. Research shows that consuming these regularly helps reduce inflammatory markers throughout your body, including in your joints. So you're attacking the problem from 2 directions. Topical application directly to the affected area. Internal support through your diet. This combined approach addresses both local inflammation and systemic inflammation simultaneously. Now, I want to set realistic expectations here, because trust matters more to me than views. This is not a replacement for medical care. If you have severe joint damage, if you've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis or other serious autoimmune conditions, keep working with your doctor. This is a complement to proper care, not a substitute for it. What this represents is a low-risk, low-cost option that has genuine scientific support. Something your body recognizes. Something that works with your biology rather than overriding it with synthetic chemicals. Your joints have been sending you signals for years. The stiffness when you wake up. the aching after you sit too long, the grinding sensation when you climb stairs. Those signals mean something. They mean there's inflammation that needs addressing. They mean your cartilage is under stress. They mean your body is asking for help. And now you have information that most people don't. You understand the mechanism. You know why it works at the molecular level. You have a specific, actionable protocol backed by clinical research. The question is whether you'll actually try it. So here's my challenge. 7 days. Commit to 7 days of consistent application, not sporadic, not when you remember. Every single day, preferably at the same time. Document how you feel on day 1. Write it down. Rate your pain on a scale of 1 to 10. Note how long your morning stiffness lasts. Then check again on day 7. Compare the numbers. If you notice even a small improvement, that's your signal to continue. That's your body telling you it's responding. That's the spark that can become a fire if you keep going. If this information was valuable to you, hit that subscribe button. I break down the science behind natural remedies so you can make informed decisions about your own health. Drop a comment below telling me which joint is giving you the most trouble. I read every single comment, and your answer might help someone else who's dealing with the exact same thing. Your body has been asking for help. Maybe it's time to answer with something it actually recognizes. I'll see you in the next one.